Hello everyone, welcome back to the Model Shop. In today's episode we're going to continue to show you the bridge area, some additional photo etch work that's got to be done, some tips and tricks for putting in some larger windows, and we're also going to take a look at, as you can see here, the wooden base, where we've come with that so far. Sorry it's been a long time since I've done an update. I've been extremely busy. I took a little vacation that was badly needed, and now I'm back to work and I got some other things I have to do. So anyway, this is what we've got done so far, and the next update will be when I can get some more work done. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying your summer, and let me know what you think of the video. Thanks. Hey everybody, so as we continue on up with our superstructure, got some extra photo etch railing right in here that we're installing, and a little guy down in there. We just shoot up with the airbrush, and you can see the stuff along the edge here I painted. But anyway, I have to fill those windows in, and I've shown you guys this before. This is the window cement that I use, and I thought I'll just show real quickly here how I do it. And it's pretty easy. You just take the glue and go like that. Put it out in the window, and it comes out white and will set up crystal clear. Now when you're done, depending on how it sits, you could end up with a little air bubble or a little disc shape to it, if you will. I don't worry about that because you can go back through and fill it back in. Obviously I've sprayed all of this, the gray up here on top, first before I did that. You don't want to spray your windows, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyway, let's go ahead and press on with the next couple of parts here, get something else to show. So now we've got this piece that goes right up on top here, and there's a bunch of photo etch railing that you put in place, and this was no big deal to bend and install because, as you can see, it's pretty wide open. I mean, all of this work right here, you're looking at maybe 20 minutes of my time, and it ends up sitting right on top like that. Just presses together and you get to here with it, and there's some neat photo etch back here. So all this has to get painted still. And then, so right here you've got your hatch, or I'm sorry, a little ladder, little area for a ladder where you would come up, but there's no ladder in place. If we zoom in, you can see right there's the stairs that you would come up from, right in there. So the next ladder, so I'm going to have to glue this in place and then drop a ladder down in that way, and it's going to come across this direction right on top of that red area, which, as you can see, I filled in those two spots right up there on top. And when I realized that the ladder was going to go right here, I filled those in as well. So I'll just got to hit those carefully with some airbrush, spray paint, and they'll be ready to go. My windows, can you see that they're filled in there? How clear they come out? I mean, you almost can't even tell, but it's nice to put something there. I mean, look, the bottom ones, yeah, they're filled in, but I don't think you're even going to notice that once this whole thing's together. But I don't know, I mean, maybe you might see it. So there it is. Alright, oh, and then we've got over here a couple of searchlights, 3 of them put together. They got to get painted still because one of them gets installed in this hole right there, so I had to get that kind of assembled. So yeah, and we're making our way up the stack here, like I said, and the next thing to do is kind of add walls to the next layer that goes on up. So let's do that. Let's paint this up and move on to the next thing. So it's been a little bit, but we're ready to move on to our next layer on the superstructure. This piece is interesting because we have a major photo etch replacement for this part right here. So the instructions want you to cut this off, which leaves this big hole here that you need to fill in. And then you also have those photo etch, or those stairs right there as photo etch ones. You got to cut those off and remove it too. This is one of those situations where you want to make the photo etch piece first, so as long as you don't screw it up and it's fine, then cut this off. If you cut this off, you mess up the photo etch, you don't have anything to work with at all. But before we do that, we have to move on to what I believe would be the main bridge. And it's no big deal. You've got these three pieces. They go together like so, and then this is the piece in the back, and they end up right on top right here. But you can see that these windows are pretty dang big, and dropping a little bit of window glue in there probably isn't gonna fix the situation. You also have this deal where when you butt the two pieces together in the front, there's that seam that's kind of unsightly, and we need to touch that up. So I have solutions for all of this, and let's make it happen. First thing we do is take this layer off, and some stairs get glued in down here to go to the next layer down, and you gotta monkey around with that. But basically what we want to do is, I'll make sure this is in place, is get our pieces installed, but not install them permanently. I just need them in place so that I can put some glue basically on the top here, and then these connecting points so I can remove it, because like I said before, we have to fill that seam in the front. I also need to be able to paint this whole thing and install my glass windows. So we'll put some glue here, we'll get this all done off camera so that I have a standalone piece for you to look at. Okie doke, so we got this section glued together, and I just got to sand this seam that I filled up, and we got to paint it the navy blue, and I whipped up my two stairs that will go down in those two holes right there too, so I might as well paint it all at the same time. So next step is to paint that up, then we move on to the secret of filling in these windows. So let's get that happening here. While the paint's drying, it's time to build this thing, or we'll try to, out of this photo etch. So let's just go ahead and start bending. I'll let you guys watch as I go. It's pretty simple. You need to just make a reference point with where you're going to start. So this front here is going to be flat, and that's going to be what we'll basically call the only piece we're not going to move. So that would be this middle tab here. Everything else basically needs to bend around it. So let's just have at it. Alright, so there we are. There's the rough shape. We've got gaps that I gotta close up and fill in, but it's basically put together. Let's look at it compared to the kit part and see what else we gotta do to adjust it here. Alright, there it is next to the kit part. It's a little bit bigger. It's basically the same shape. It does look sharper. That door right there, you gotta take a piece of photo etch, well, a photo etch door, and put on there and replace it instead. But generally speaking, I think it looks good. But here's the issue. Let's just zoom in. There we go. I've got all sorts of little gaps. This all has to get buttoned up nice and snug. And about the only defining point is right here in the front. This area is a seam, so I don't have a lot of room to work with outside of there. I got to make all these other parts close up and butt up nicely to it. So Probably going to use some gap filling super glue to work this around and see what I got to do to make all these parts fit nicely. So I'll go ahead and work on that next, and really this is the key. If you can't get that part right, it's not going to work. You could ruin the part, and that's okay because a pretty adequate kit piece is already included. So let's work on that while like I said, the other paint dries and see what we can get done here. Ta-da! All finished up. So we just went ahead and basically there's quite a bit of super glue on the inside here. I don't know if you could kind of make that out, but you just work your way around the edge and button it up, and then hit it with the sanding stick to get everything off of the outside so it's nice and clean edges, and there you go. We still have to put our door on there, but as you can see, it is a fitting replacement. It looks sharp. Probably going to have to do something about the windows here and get some glass inside of there. That's no big deal. But we do have to cut this off. And that's really not hard normally. I just take my razor saw, lay it on here, and it comes right off. The problem is we've got this spot, and they're in the way. So, I don't know, I'm going to try to lay the saw in here, but you know, you could use a knife or another saw or whatever you want. You just got to get this removed. So we'll do that, get it cut off, and then I'll cut a piece of sheet styrene in here to fill that space in on the bottom, and that will allow us to get this guy installed and paint it up. Yeah, so let's move along here. Alright, so this is all glued up and sanded and ready to go, ready to have the windows put in. These little back windows, I've shown you guys this like 3 times already. Just put a dot of clear liquid tester cement in, that fills it in. But what about these big windows? Well, here's what we've got. This stuff. Zoom out a little bit. Got Hobby Lobby clear lay-in film, 0.007. It's basically a transparency. You're just going to cut a piece and lay it along the back side here to give us our glass. And I'm probably even going to use this liquid cement to hold it in place. So let's get that. Let's get this cut out and see how that looks. Alright, I gotta try and show everyone this. If I hold it like this, can you see that there's our piece of glass? But I mean, it's super transparent. So I cut it kind of thick to match the height of the windows here, and the idea is, or of the wall, the idea is just drop it in here. I might even use super glue to glue it to the bottom there, this wider spot. And if we push it in place and then I flip it over, I mean, I don't even, can you see it, that there's glass in there? It's like super clear. But that's put it up like that. Reflection. That's what we're going to have here. So that's the plan. Let's go ahead and knock that out. I'll let you know what the end result is here. Well, here we go. There's the final product. Let's see here. You could see the plastic inside here if we look on the back pretty well. And if you look from the front, there we get a little glint from the light. There you go. Perfect. Now you can see there's glass in there. It looks really good. And I cleaned it as best I could, but actually I left it light on the inside, and there's a little bit of my fingerprint still in there to give it some opacity. That's probably not the right word. Basically, so you could see it when the whole thing's together. Because that's where it's gonna go, right there. So if we take the piece above it, stick it together here because it's a little bit snug. The whole thing goes on like that, and that's what it looks like. Just barely make out the glass there. See that little reflection? I think it's nice. And so now we just need to replace this piece with our photo etched one, and then we'll, we might take a little break. Let's see if we can get this all knocked out. Well, so I've got my styrene filler piece cut and put in. I removed the stairs that are right here, but the plastic was so thin it actually went all the way through. But that's okay, I don't think you can really see it from here, and when the stairs are in place it won't really matter. I got this little brow kind of awning installed so that when you put this part on, like so, you get your little sunshade for the windows, that goes in place there. And then of course this is our brass replacement part. It's going to go like that, and we'll get it painted up. So stairs go here, railing goes here. One of the things that's kind of annoying about this Edward kit, let's just zoom out here a little bit. So right here on this kit you get your instructions for the railing that goes around the top, and you get the railing for the stairs. But note, that stair piece doesn't get replaced. That's because you have to go to a separate Edward kit where it tells you to pull that stuff off so that you can replace it. It also has you cut out and put in some photo etch thing on this part that basically these are like, there's like shielded railing type areas that go on here that go in place. So this one little piece right here, there's a lot that's got to happen and get painted and be put together. So yeah, I'm going to try and assemble everything here in the next shot, and see if we can't wrap up this video here. So let's see what we can get done. There we are with basically this whole thing assembled. Well, up until this point, as far as I've gotten. I ran into a situation where basically these posts right here, whatever you want to call them, right, need to be installed, and I needed to do that before, well, they need to go in now, otherwise the whole thing, they weren't going to get it installed. So I went ahead and did it, glued these parts up. We got our stairs back there installed. Some of them are a little bit crooked, they're kind of hard to see. Way back in here, do the best I can. Zoom in, you got 3 layers. I'm assuming that they're right in there. There's I think there's a little ladder or something that steps across and bridges that gap right in there. I thought I saw that, but I can't recall where. So anyway, there's our windows on the main bridge. They look fine. And then if I crank this up here a little bit, this box that I can't recall the name of right there, the photo etch is installed and the windows are installed on it as well. It looks good. So a couple of little tweaks to the railing. I gotta adjust this little corner here, gets bent back out, and then you know, these next pieces and everything go on top right there. But anyway, that's it for now. Let's move on to the next little update we've got here. So here's our next big deal. This is the wooden base kind of update here. So I misspoke when I did this video originally. This, I think I said, was like a nice pine. This is actually poplar, which is a really nice hardwood that's soft. But anyway, stained it up, put a bunch of coats of clear gloss on it, and there you have it. Then what I did is I took a bunch of 3/4 inch, actually maybe 1 inch dowel rods, cut them up at 3/4 of an inch in length, and the idea is basically I'm just going to place them like this. They're pretty big, hefty looking pieces that I'm going to use to set the entire ship on, like so. And the plan is basically just to go like that. We'll have to get it, you know, centered up and where we want it in the middle, but it lifts it up off of the base just a little bit. So let me take you down low so you can see what I'm talking about here. Alright, so here we are down a little bit lower, and you can see the ship's just lifted up a little bit, and if I bring you down, you can see underneath our little black pillars. I mean, they're just big and beefy, and they look nice. They don't draw a bunch of attention to themselves, not a bunch of flash. They're just, you know, really big. And they look like they'd support the bottom of this thing the way they're supposed to. So that's the idea there. I think it looks really good. Just a nice beefy looking profile for a beefy looking ship. There's all of our work we've got done so far up here. Anyway, sorry this update's been really long in coming. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long time before I get the next one in, because I'm working and traveling quite a bit, but I'm doing what I can. So anyway, that's it for now. Till next time, take care everyone.